the amount of centralized global control that will, by definition, increase dramatically the amount of control over the global population, which is what money's about. Money's a vehicle for control, for suppressing potential, for suppressing choice, for forcing people into doing things they don't really want to do because they have to raise the money to pay the essential bills to the corporations that are owned by the same people that are screwing them financially. So we're reaching a point now where we've gone so far along this road, while people have been watching game shows and watching the soaps and the football, and now it's peeked its head into the public arena where it's in our face, and people are going, where did this come from? Well, it's come from decades and decades, indeed hundreds of years of manipulation to get us to this point. And it's a point of great challenge and great danger in terms of freedom, but it's also a point of great opportunity, because you can ignore something when crazy people like me are going, it's coming. And you, oh no, he's just mad, he believes in reptiles, oh, he's mad and all this stuff. But when it's in your face and it's in your daily life, you can't look away anymore. And I'm sure you're finding the same, Alex, that more and more people who were ignoring it before are now going, hold on a second, what can we do about this? So we're moving into a stage where we can actually, those that are challenging this tyranny, this global fascism, where we can actually go to a stage of starting to do something about it rather than just talk about it.
Okay, David, while you were talking, I went into Google and Googled World Central Bank and found hundreds of articles. Here is Newsweek, why we need a Bank of the World. The financial crisis is global and only International Central Bank can deal with it. Now, already under the IMF, World Bank, Exim Bank, in their own documents, they admit they already are the World Central Bank, but under this, they will set interest rates globally. They will selectively control nations. They will decide how much currency can be issued. You'll still all have your currencies of the world, in their own words. It will just all be regulated and controlled by them, kind of like the national ID card in the U.S. It's the states administering it, but the feds set it up and control the computer systems. So it's really a national ID card tied into a world ID database, but the public thinks it's a driver's license when it's really the real ID. But there is Newsweek for anyone that doubts this, and I could sit here showing people hundreds of these where they are saying not just that they're setting up a world central bank, but that you will pay your taxes on every activity you are involved in on your carbon footprint to them.
Yeah, and the idea is to eventually get rid of all currencies for a simple reason that at the moment, if you go into a store or you want to buy something anywhere and you give them electronic money and the computer says no to your credit card, then at least still just you have the opportunity to say, well, I'll pay cash then. But what they want to do eventually is take all cash out of circulation. So that computer, whoever programs it, decides if and what you purchase. That's the idea of the cashless society which we're hurtling towards, and that's the next phase.
And that's
they're
already
looking at beyond where we are now.
And that's already happening. You know, we never shop at Walmart here at this office, but I said, hurry up and get me a TiVo so I can record things off TV here at the new office. And the guys went to Walmart without asking me. I don't micromanage them. And my guy called, and because he had a debt, not an unpaid check, but because he had a debt that he hadn't paid, now the credit scores tied in with Walmart and other big stores, they wouldn't let him use that company check because he had bad credit. So we're already going into that system where I see him carding 75-year-old men buying cigarettes or beer at the store now, and the corporations admit they're getting us ready to have to show ID to buy and sell, and they're going to have a new world and local sales tax that will also have a database of everything you buy, sell, and do in the name of administering the sales tax.
Yeah, and this is happening everywhere. I mean, in Britain, the Big Brother state is hurtling forward. And in terms of the economic situation here, I mean, it's not really reached the point that it's going to reach, as we were talking about earlier. But when I go around the shops, which I occasionally do, not very often, or you go into a pub or a restaurant or something, places are empty. Where I go, where they never were before. And so, we're on the brink of a massive economic situation here globally, and it's been deliberately engineered for the ends that we're talking about.
David, how do we get the word out to the people? And as you said, our credibility is soared because everything we predicted is now unfolding, unfortunately. I wish we were wrong. What are the most, because you're very effective at unlocking minds, in your educated opinion, your informed opinion from experience, how do we reach out to them and say, look, it's now here. We're not warning you about something coming and all the preparatory phase that was bad enough setting up this tyrannical, dehumanizing, soul-stealing grid. We're now entering in to the long slide into the depths of global mass extermination, population reduction, because we're not making even predictions. We're following their own documents. We know where it goes. Can the public face the horror of what's going to happen if they keep living in la-la land?
Well, what I say to people is, if you think you don't like the situation now, then think what you're going to face a little way down the road, and more than anything, think of what your children are going to have to face. Because you think we live in a controlled society now, this is nothing compared with what they are going to have to live in. So in terms of parents who are listening to this information, I would say this. Go and look your children in the eyes and tell them that you can't be bothered, or you're too frightened to do anything about it, that you're too frightened to get involved, in being another conduit for getting this information further and further expanded into the public mind, that you're too frightened to get together with others to stop cooperating with this system, and to not be intimidated into coming into line, which is a bit like coming into line in a concentration camp and thinking it'll be okay. As long as you stay in line and you do as you're told, you'll be fine. And then you realize at the end of it, well, actually, it ain't fine. And if you'd have all rebelled earlier, then you wouldn't be in the situation you're facing now. The point of mathematics alone ought to let us see where the real power is here. There are billions of people, 6 billion, nearly getting on for 7 billion on this planet, who are being manipulated. There are, in full knowledge of what they're doing, a relative handful of those who are doing the manipulating to the end that we're talking about. Because of the compartmentalized pyramids that they've constructed within all these institutions of government and finance and corporations, the vast majority of people who are daily making contributions to push the world in this towards this Orwellian global state have no idea that they're doing that, because they don't know how their contributions fit in with everyone else's. Only the few at the top do. And what we need to start doing is realizing that we've reached the fork in the road, and if we keep going the way we're going, and we keep putting our heads in the sand, because you can put your head in a bucket of sand when a tornado's coming, but it's still coming, and your bum is still in the air, and it's still coming, and you're going to get it eventually, even though you've ignored the fact that you have up to the point where you get hit. If you lift your head from the sand and you look and face the situation, a tornado's coming, you can now take action to avoid the consequences.
Exactly.
And that's where we're looking at now. And we need to grow up, start being adults, look at the future our children are going to have unless we do something, and get off the backsides, disconnect them from the sofa, and let's get this sorted.
Well, absolutely. We're going to go to break and come back and get more into this mass awakening. People, and I want to get your take on this after the break, David. People love to say, oh, look at those stupid Jews or those stupid gypsies or those stupid Anglicans who didn't like Hitler, and they just went on trains and they went to camps and they stripped down naked and they got run into pits and gunned down. Why didn't they fight back? And we see those Nazi film footage of that. When that was done incrementally, we're going to come back and get your analysis on this. That was done incrementally. They were slowly trained to live in ghettos and then to wear yellow stars or pink triangles or whatever the case was. They were slowly trained by incremental steps to put up with more and more until, well, now we're taking you here to a camp to be safe because the public's beating you up and smashing your store windows. And, now just take your clothes off over here. We're going to take care of you. And then they would line up and see the people being shot in front of them, but they would still just run into the pit obediently to their deaths. That is mind control. That is incremental conditioning. And we're going into the same thing as the ambient tyranny is turned up. We have to learn to recognize that, to stop it now and break our conditioning. Stay with us with David Icke.
Now that the election is over and the shock is beginning to wear off, Ready Reserve Foods, in an effort to get as many Americans prepared for the promised changes of the new administration and to help you and your family survive the global economic crash. Ready Reserve is offering the pre-inauguration special. Between now and January 20th, 2009, all food units U1 through U7